tunnel. They got to continue to attack. These guards have to be aggressive. And I think, Ben, they got to pick the spots to get her the basketball this afternoon when she is in the lineup.
So Aoka Lee is back. Kansas with the basketball to begin this one. The Jayhawks snapping a 4-game losing streak on Tuesday, knocking off UCF at home at Allen Fieldhouse. Double team forces a turnover.
And early from K-State, they come out in that zone look. And you're going to see some different defensive possessions and looks for Kansas State here this afternoon. They did it in Lawrence. They mixed it up a little bit. How you want to be able to contain Nichols, I think that's #1 on the scouting report.
She is back.
You can't deny it when she gets deep and gets position. That is going to be an issue here this afternoon for Kansas when Aoka Lee is in. How do they defend her? You can't play behind.
It took all of about 5 seconds on that possession for the early paint touch for Aoka Lee. Here comes Walker on the run. And a wild shot is rebounded and a foul in the backcourt.
Interesting to talk to Jeff Mittie earlier this week as coming into this game of how you bring Aoka Lee back into this lineup. #1, when she's in, they might play a little bit slower, more of that half-court game, but they've still got to continue to be aggressive.
Copeland is whistled for the over and back violation, so a couple of early turnovers on the Jayhawks as the teams settle in here. Again, KU big winners in the earlier game this year over in Allen Fieldhouse, 91-64. What do you expect differently today from Kansas as they get it inside to Aoka Lee against a double team?
Well, I think if you're KU, you've got to be more of that attack mentality. They were able to manage some runs, but then Kansas State just blistered them coming out in the second quarter. That's where they blew it open. I think the biggest thing for the Jayhawks is that you've got to create some continuity in their offense. Keep in mind, Samaya Nichols was held to just 2 of 5 from the field. She had 7 assists, but just 9 points. That is because of what K-State was able to do defensively. So you've got to figure out a way early here to get her the basketball, allow Nichols to be able to operate in the half court. I think these zone looks, though, Ben, that spreads them out a bit, and that's a difference maker for K-State's defense.
Harshaw, transition 3. She's coming off a terrific game. 26 against Iowa State about a week ago.
She had 12 points. She was 2 of 6 from 3 in their win against UCF earlier this week. I think one of the biggest factors for Harshaw is that confidence. She's been back in the starting lineup. They've got to find her shots.
Copeland runs down the miss out of the corner from Tamira Poindexter. Copeland left alone. She had 3 threes against K-State in Lawrence and drills the first one here.
Well, and keep in mind, she has played in this building, was here a year ago with Wisconsin. She transferred to Kansas from Wisconsin, played here last year, so this Bramlage experience, not anything new for her.
Lee off the window and down. 4 early ones for Aoka Lee, and we're probably not going to see her play a whole lot of minutes.
No, I think the message has been anywhere in the 10 to 12. A lot of it is about how she feels physically, but ultimately you got to get her back in the flow. This is about game speed. You can do it all you want in practice, but until you get into this environment, that's where it's different.
And here comes Kennedy Taylor to replace Aoka Lee at the 7:38 mark.
When I think with Taylor coming into the lineup, Ben, she's made 7 Big 12 starts. And with 3 post players that kind of picked up the load when Lee was out with those 8 games, Taylor can get up and down on the floor. So this is maybe now where the Cats play a little bit faster. And if you're Kansas, you've got to be prepared for that. Your defensive transition has got to be good.
Yeah, K-State was noticeably playing a lot quicker over the last 8 games, and they seem so much more well-equipped this year than the previous years when Lee got hurt. And now that she's back, but she may not be a 30-minute-a-game player the rest of the way either.
I think you're absolutely right. So you've got to be able to make those adjustments both in-game to start, but as games wear on. There's going to be possessions where they need to play slower, but when they can get out and go, that's where this offense has been able to find rhythm.
Sides from the wing. Yes! Taryn Sides. What a weapon off the bench she is, shooting almost 50% from downtown on the year.
She's the reigning Big 12 Player of the Week. She had 17 points, 12 boards at Cincinnati, and then followed it up with 21 points here in this gym against UCF a week ago. she's got the ability to extend that defense, and she's a matchup problem for Kansas.
Poindexter rips down the rebound. She wants to push the tempo. Dumped into Kennedy Taylor. She goes to work and leaves it short. Good defense by Reagan Williams for KU.
Yeah, Williams has been a bright spot. The freshman for the Jayhawks really has given a lift for Kansas. Brandon Schneider said it after the UCF game earlier this week that she does give them a scoring punch, but she's also got to play bigger a lot of times in that post because they don't have a ton of size. But for a freshman, she has made a name for herself.
Poindexter from the short corner has her first two. A 9-3 early lead for K-State. KU breaks the pressure.
And sometimes that pressure is a bit token, but it does slow down Kansas in certain possessions, and it forces Samaya Nichols to have to give the ball up.
Good offense there. Williams with the layup on a beautiful feed from Nichols. K-State answers right back as they get a layup from Kennedy Taylor.
And it feels as though Kansas a little bit confused on how they want to handle ball screen defense. You got to be able to get out and contest high hands, but right now K-State able to slice and dice.
Samaya Nichols rims out for three. Here comes Taryn Sides. Poindexter gets free and scores. Timeout, Kansas.
They got confused on the slip screen. They made a switch, but they made it too late.
The basketball part of it all is they just have to be able to replicate how well they played at Allen Fieldhouse earlier this month, guys.
Yeah, thanks, Sophie. So far, they have replicated that with 6 of 9 shooting early on and doing a lot of damage in the paint.
Yeah, strong start, and that's exactly what you have to be able to have. The defensive end of the floor is really where I think they disrupted Kansas early in that game in Lawrence, and then just were able to put their foot on the gas on the offensive side. It really is simple. When you make shots and you get stops, that's exactly what happened on the road a couple weeks ago.
Reagan Williams with 4 early for KU. Moppin down the lane.
And just too easy right now as this Kansas State offense able to pass and cut at will. If you're Kansas, you've got to be able to identify whether you make a switch. You cannot get your head turned. Too many easy looks right now for KU.
KU answers with a 3 from Elle Evans, and she is certainly capable. 40% on the year from downtown.
Well, the 6'3" junior is an interesting matchup for every opponent in the Big 12. She's coming off 15 points against UCF. And she's top 5 in this league right now, Ben, in minutes played, playing over 35 a game. The thing that you have to like about Elle Evans is that she can just extend the floor from 3.
Nichols looking for contact, wasn't there, and she is slowed up at the other end. K-State in transition. Gets a missed 3, and the officials will stop play here. Concern for Samaya Nichols holding her ankle after that drive.
Yeah, it seems as though she's trying to walk it off a little bit, and whether or not it's just to give herself a moment, but they are going to make a substitution to bring Samaya Nichols out. And as she went up, it looks as though she maybe just caught something, reached for the back, reached for that ankle as she moved. And I think she just asked the trainer about a retape. So maybe that is just an uncomfortable scenario when she went up and came down. Didn't seem as though she turned it or landed on anyone's foot.
Nice hedge by Moppin. And a tie-up caused by Jalen Glenn will give it back to K-State.
That's that chaos we mentioned at the very start. How you defend, and they're throwing some different looks. We've seen zone, now it's a double team, high hedge, and you just create that traffic. And that is what you want to do, make Kansas uncomfortable all day.
Ella Sanchez checking in for the first time. Zy Walker is back as well. Shot clock a factor at 6. Sanchez with an isolation goes hard to the glass and scores it.
And that one-on-one, really the only option for K-State. A much better defensive possession for Kansas that trip.
Evans on the wing. had the early three for KU. This one out of the corner misses for Conessa, but Evans went crazy in their last road game. She had 30 in an overtime loss at Cincinnati.
She has been so good, and as we said, her ability to extend that defense. When you shoot 42% from behind the arc, that creates its matchup problems. At 6'3", you got to be able to figure out how you want to guard her. As with a smaller player or a post, that's where teams get in trouble.
Jalen Glenn, Sanchez, easy lay-in on the weak side board.
Traffic went to the far side, and you leave that weak side rebound spot open. Gisela Sanchez getting more and more minutes here down the stretch in Big 12 play for Jeff Mitty and his staff.
Copeland missing, rebounded by Glenn. Sanchez going to try a three and hits. 7 straight for Gisela Sanchez.
That lift, and that's what you want to have, is you want your bench to be able to give you a lift. When the Cats went on the road to West Virginia, they lose 70-57 on Monday. Their bench was outscored. And I think that's one of the big factors right here for this Wildcat team, is that whenever they make that substitution, you can't have a drop-off. They've gotten it right now from Sanchez.
Also returning for K-State, number 4.
Serena Sundell back in for Taryn Sides. K-State exploding for 21 here with just over 2 minutes left to go in front of a sellout crowd in Bramlage. Stolen by Walker. Diving, trying to get it back, and Conessa will be called for the foul.
I think that really could have been a no-call play, but it looks as though Conessa's going to get that whistle, but the quick hands of the redshirt sophomore and Ziana Walker leads this team in steals, and she's been that energy out front defensively all season. She was tasked with that by this coaching staff to be able to just be a defensive stopper, and we've seen it in multiple games throughout the course of this season where she has stepped up and set the tone with that type of activity.
Poindexter as Sundell picks up another assist. Wow, terrific inbounds play.
Well, and yet again, just confusion by Kansas on the defensive side of the floor, where you make a switch, you get your head turned, and K-State finding all of the easy opportunities to score here in this first quarter.
This team's so explosive, and now on a 9-0 run to open this up to 13.
Crazy as it was the second quarter in Lawrence that blew it open. They outscored KU 17-8, but putting it on him here in the first.
Sundell to the other end, misses the left-handed layup. Everything but the finish as K-State continues with its defense to wreak havoc here in the first quarter. Deep three, off target, rebounded by Sanchez. Nope, Poindexter. Miscommunication there with Walker, and the Wildcats will turn it over.
But as we see, Ben, without Ioka Lee in the lineup, she was in for that first about 2.5 to 3 minutes. It was a slower pace. Now all of a sudden it picks up in this Kansas State offense, pushing in transition, being more aggressive, that attack mentality in the half court, and they have turned up the defensive intensity on this end of the floor as well.
Zoe Canfield, the former Washburn Rural star, in there for KU. As Williams goes to work again, she's having a nice first period with 6.
Been so impressed by the 6'3" freshman. She's played within herself really all season. 11 points versus UCF, averaging just shy of 10 in Big 12 games.
Walker from the wing, and she's in the scoring book with 3. Nichols back in there for KU, which is a great sign. That's the last thing the Jayhawks and Brandon Schneider need, is another injury.
Yes, injuries have plagued them. It has been a tough season in that area for this KU squad. People they were counting on to be able to give them lifts, unavailable for most of the year.
K-State has owned the defensive glass so far, and Jeff Mitty says we will hold for 1, working on a 14-point lead.
0 offensive rebounds in this first 10 minutes for KU, Ben. As you said, you control that glass. You've got to be more active. And no real second chance opportunities for KU. They've taken long shots, long rebounds. Those have gone to the Cats, and they've gone the other way to push tempo.
K-State with 16 points in the paint here in this first quarter. And the Wildcats will trigger it in here with 5.9 to go. Looking for Poindexter. Has to go to plan B, which is Amani Lester. Out to Sanchez. The Sunflower Showdown as Big 12 Conference history. K-State got great production from the bench as well in that first quarter with 13. Samaya Nichols yet to score for Kansas.
And this is what happened. The trend that you saw in Lawrence was K-State was able to neutralize Samaya Nichols. You're talking about one of the top 5 scorers in the Big 12. You've got to figure out a way to force her to give the basketball up. But when she has it, she draws extra attention.
Copeland fires it into Nichols. And an open look for Canfield, and she drains the 3.
And that's a great look against that zone. You've got to get it to the middle of the floor. And I like the fact they put Nichols there where she can catch and operate. She's got a great vision. She shares the basketball incredibly well, but she can also then attack and score from that angle.
Brandon Schneider right in front of us started clapping before that ball even went in. He knew it was going in because Canfield can definitely shoot it.
Yeah, he likes that offense, and that's going to be a weapon that they're going to have to attack. You got to figure out a way, but I think the key here is stops on this end, Ben, and they can't figure out a way to move Ioka Lee out of that paint.
She was calling for it and finally got it and finished it off. She has 6.
Well, and I think that's a big factor when you reinsert her is these guards figuring out a way to get her the ball where she can operate, where she's comfortable.
Nichols had it deflected. Here's Harshaw. Harshaw from the top. Air ball rebounded by Walker.
And that's the one player you're going to need to get involved. She had a season high, as you mentioned, at 26 at Iowa State, has shot the ball well, but she's got to have that confidence from deep.
KU with 3 triples early on, only 2 for the Wildcats so far as they dump it into Lee. Lee backs her way in, got it knocked out of her hands going up. A jump ball called, and it'll stay at this end.
Yeah, I think that's an interesting whistle right there, but Kansas State is going to be able to keep that possession. It will not reset. Big traffic, you get a hand on that thing. It looked as though she was able to, it was clean, but no reset, just 7 on the shot clock for K-State.
Glenn's going to have to make something happen. Good defense there on the inbounds by the Jayhawks.
And they struggled with that in the first the first quarter, where they were just sliced and diced by K-State and their execution on out of bounds underneath. So to be able to get them stopped with 7 on the shot clock, you cut off cutters, you do a better job of communicating. Those are those momentum possessions that K-State is, or that Kansas is going to have. You got to get stops, and now you've got to go the other way, and you've got to be able to convert. You got to take advantage of the opportunities where it's an empty trip for K-State.
K-State in the zone this possession as Kennedy Taylor replaces Ioka Lee. Canfield with 5 on the shot clock. Nichols just inside the arc off the back iron and rebounded by Poindexter.
And an incredibly stagnant possession there, Ben, where you just saw Kansas stand. That ball never went to the middle of the floor or the short corner. They've got to get movement against that zone. If you stand, you are easily guarded, especially in that extended 2-3.
This K-State team seems so versatile, not only at the offensive end, but at the defensive end as well.
No doubt. I think it's their size, their length. You've got good athleticism from your guards and speed. You add all of those things together, and then you can throw different looks at your opponent, whether it's a zone, whether it's man-to-man, you jump and run. We've seen K-State do a little bit of everything all season on the defensive end.
Poindexter misses on the 3, just 2 of 9 here in the first half for the Wildcats.
Poindexter had 17 on the road at West Virginia. She was 3 of 7 from behind the arc. Came into today, 18 double-figure games. She has been a big lift. one of those prized possessions Jeff Mittie found in the portal. It was the complementary type offense that you were looking for, but she has also made a name for herself on the defensive end with her athleticism as well.
In so many ways, she seems like, for K-State, she's been such a perfect fit.
Yes.
With the portal, you never know, and she's been a great fit.
I would say go up and down any school, men's or women's, across the way, and you're going to have wins from the portal, and you're going to have some, you don't necessarily say losses, but they don't end up the way that you want them to. And for Tamira Poindexter to come into this environment with a bunch of experienced kids that have played together, that also says something about her. You got to be able to do that. I think Elle Evans, the same way for Kansas. That has been a bright spot for Brandon Schneider and what he found out of the portal this year for Kansas.
Poindexter nearing 2,000 career points. So you got a player like that as they dump it into Taylor for another bucket. A player who's used to scoring 20 a game but can come into a top 10, top 15 program and fit in. It's been special to watch.
Well, and I think you have to go back to the idea that sometimes it's not comparable to be able to score 20 plus a game at the mid-major level, how you do that in P4. But I think Tamira Poindexter has been able to utilize what her best traits and skills are to her advantage. That's where she's been the difference maker.
Taylor, great position, and she scores another one. Wow, she's just been invaluable during Lee's absence and continues to get better.
When you have an All-American you remove for 8 games, you have to have others that pick you up. And I think that's where K-State has had a lift from all 3 of their post players in different ways. Today, Kennedy Taylor coming to play, getting deep into that post.
Some good defense there by Taylor as well. They find Glenn in the corner for 3. Halfway down and out. Taylor again!
And Brandon Schneider wants to talk about it. This KU team on a scoring because of the likes of Ziana Walker, Taryn Sides being able to help with that. But then you remove Ioka Lee, she became much more of a scoring threat and needed to be. You pick and choose your moments and opportunities. Today, she's truly been a facilitator.
Hoppin with the catch inside, goes to the deck. And the loose ball into the hands of Copeland. Nichols dumps it inside for El Tayeb, and a foul on Kansas State.
And a lot of traffic right now for Kansas as they try to get to the middle of the floor. And that's where Samaya Nichols loves to operate. She wants to be able to turn that corner and get downhill. Hasn't had that many opportunities, but to be able to feed the post, you see her tons of traffic, goes for the dump down, Maupin comes for that double team. But that's what Samaya Nichols does. She draws a ton of attention. So if her teammates can be available, they are going to have open looks. They just haven't been able to knock them down. This KU team shooting just 27% right now.
El Tayeb gets them both. She had a season-high 8 last Saturday against Iowa State. 34-17. And here comes Sundell and the Cats. Not the only thing K-State hasn't done well here today is shoot the 3, just 2 of 10.
But if they feel like they haven't needed it so much.
Yeah.
This has been such a game that has been played in the paint, in the post. Isolations for your guards, offensive rebounds. We've seen Ioka Lee with a couple buckets. All of that conducive to this team being so versatile in how they can score.
Canfield from the top's got another one. Zoe Canfield with 2 triples off the bench.
You said it, the freshman can shoot, has appeared now in 9 Big 12 games, counting today. They found her against the zone, that time just on a putback, or on a kick out from Elle Evans. But that 3 ball can absolutely help Kansas, but their struggles have been on this end.
A couple of them go halfway down and out for K-State on that trip. Here's Nichols. Stolen by Glenn. Glenn on the run. To Sides, back to Glenn. That's how you do it. And 1.
Active hands on the other end, and Jalen Glenn is going to be the recipient of her own steal against Samaya Nichols. The sophomore tries to turn the corner, can't get there, and now it is 2-on-1. Taryn Sides finds Glenn, and she's going to have a chance at that 3-point play. But it all started with the defense. And that's where Kansas State has hung their hat all season, Ben. They continue to assert themselves and make life miserable for Samaya Nichols on the other end.
You do not want Jalen Glenn guarding you.
No, and I think it's just, it seems as though sometimes that there's just, it's without a lot of effort because it just seems and comes so easily for her. But I love their way to be able to anticipate. She jumps gaps, she gets in the right position, she's always in help side. And for the majority of the last couple years of her career, she has been tasked with some of the toughest matchups on the scouting report. Today, in great help position against Samaya Nichols, they get a steal, chance at the three-point play.
And she finishes it off, her first 3 of the day, averaging just over 10 a game in her senior season.
And we continue to see the frustration right now by Kansas, whether it's been full court, man-to-man, whether it's been zone looks. This pressure by K-State has been relentless today.
They break it this time, and Canfield has 3 threes. She only had 11 points all season, has 9 already here in the first half.
Hot hand, you got to find it when you have opportunities, and they've done that so far.
Mopping with the spin against the smaller Nichols. K-State continues to pound away in the paint.
No reason to try to beat this Kansas team from the perimeter. They shot well from behind the three-point line. They were 15 of 23 when they played on February 1st in Lawrence from behind the arc. Not needed here this afternoon. It's been straight one-on-one, get to the rim.
Williams has that blocked away. It's Jalen Glenn again with the quick hands.
Double team comes when that ball goes deep. You've got to be aware of where the help side defense comes from.
Long skip pass. Sides couldn't hang on to it on a nice bounce pass from Moppin. Evans launches and hits.
She's got range. You've got to be able to get out and contest. You got to acknowledge the fact that she can step behind, whether it's a screen, that time almost a broken play, knocks down a big 3 to stop the bleeding for KU.
That was steal, but a whistle and a foul on Kansas State. Walker. So back-to-back threes from Kansas, and they've climbed back to within 13. Buck 44 to go here before halftime.
Ultimately, how you can, we always say the three-point shot, it can shoot you in, but it can also shoot you out. K-State has not needed it, but Kansas has had to rely on it simply because this defense has shut down the paint. They've shut down penetration lanes, and Samaya Nichols has not been able to turn that corner and create.
Here she goes. Count it, and 1 for Eltaya.
Eltaya in great position on the weak side. Nichols looking for the call, didn't get it. Still scoreless here in this first half, Ben, but she does it so well to take that contact and turn it. But the putback, and now a chance at that old-fashioned three-point play. And KU can put themselves back within 10. You've just got to kind of chip away. That's all you can do, especially when you get yourself down big in this first half.
9 unanswered for Kansas.
We said it at the top, you have to be able to answer the runs, find a few of your own, and limit those empty possessions.
Glenn alone for 3, hits. What an answer from Jalen Glenn.
That's what you want on senior day. So much attention on the weak side. Nobody there in help to be able to get a hand and contest on Jalen Glenn from deep.
And a legal screen called on Kansas. K-State can go 2 for 1 here, up 13.
Yeah, I think this is a string of big possessions right here in a sequence for both Kansas State and for KU. They've got to get themselves a stop. El-Tayeb, just too much movement, and I think they could have also whistled Nichols for a travel one way or the other. I think the turnover was going the other way. This is where K-State's got to capitalize. You want to put your foot back on that gas and really be in control of this thing going into half.
This will be the 5th team foul. So Serena Sundell will shoot 2 in this situation with just over 42 to play in the second quarter.
As we said it, Sundell has only taken 1 shot here in this first half. First trip to the free throw line this afternoon in Big 12 play. She's been more assertive. She's gotten to the free throw line 78% in conference games. Misses that first one. I guess that's a jinx on our part, or at least on me. But as you said, they haven't needed her to score. She's been the facilitator. She's been the one to be able to get the ball in the right spot, to be able to control and manage this game from the get-go.
Harshaw returns for KU as they handle the pressure. K-State should get it back for the final shot. Nichols spins free, and she has her first bucket.
Big possession right there for Kansas. Now can they answer on the defensive end? K-State looking to go in with that momentum to halftime.
Sundell wanting to back down. Nichols gets double teamed. Sides launches. Oh, she hit it. She hit it.
Use the sidestep.
6 points in that first half. KU with the basketball to begin. Nichols at the top. Backs in on Walker. Leaves it short. Loose ball, though, into the hands of Nichols. Only the 2nd offensive rebound of the day for Kansas. That time a good box out from Taylor.
And that's what it has to be, one and done. You cannot allow Kansas to find those momentum plays. Whether it's a long rebound and they go get the loose ball, 50-50 possessions, K-State has to win those here in the second half.
Taylor finds Glenn off target, off the front rim, and rebounded by Eltaya, Nadira Eltaya for KU. Here's Nichols, guarded by Poindexter.
And Altayev starting this second half. Reagan Williams not in the lineup right now for KU. And I think a big factor in that is that they need some size. They've got to be able to rebound and be more aggressive down low.
Stolen by Walker. Sundell from the wing. Yes, for Serena Sundell.
It's not a strength in her game. We've seen her much more in that mid-range all season. But when she could get her feet set, create that space, and it comes from a great skip pass from Jalen Glenn, senior to senior here at home against your rival.
Seven to shoot. 4th steal of the game for Jalen Glenn. Nearly threw it away. Sundell gets it back and lays it in with the left hand.
We said 50-50 possessions, a bit of a broken play, but K-State now getting to each and every one of those. This Kansas team, they've got to find another level, Ben, and I thought they might have it coming out of halftime, but K-State has just been able to assert themselves from the jump.
Nichols will head to the free throw line for the first time today. She leads the country in both free throws attempted and made, an 83% shooter from the line.
Yeah, and this as a team, Kansas, 2nd in the Big 12 in both makes and attempts from the free throw line. That is one of the things that has kept them in games all season long. It's not just Nichols, it's been others. But that assertiveness and their ability just to be able to get to the rim and find opportunities like that just have not been there today. Reagan Williams, she has been more of one of those players that can generate a little bit at the rim, get to the line. But right now, Kansas State just making life incredibly difficult for this Kansas offense.
Yeah, just look at KU's 2 most recent wins. Against UCF, they shot 28 free throws, and then back before the 4-game losing streak against Texas Tech, they shot 32 free throws. Not the case so far today.
No.
And a whistle inside as Taylor had good position. She draws the foul.
That's that's one thing that has been available here this afternoon, where it hasn't necessarily just been Ioka Lee.
Yeah.
She was in the lineup in the first half. It's that deep post position given up by Kansas. And you draw attention inside, it opens up the perimeter, and Poindexter makes them pay.
She's got such a pretty jump shot.
And it's quick. The release is hard, and I think that's why people have such a tough time defending her, is that when she can create that space, she gets it off quick, doesn't need a lot of room, and that changes how this Kansas State offense operates.
Biggest lead of the day here for K-State at 21, and Nichols picks up the foul here on Kansas State. Zoe Canfield will return for the Jayhawks.
The bright spot that we just talked about a few moments ago, went 3 for 3 from behind the arc. You got to spread the floor and find a way. Her first trip to Bramlage Coliseum for the Sunflower Showdown, a big first half. Can she step in off the bench and give Kansas a lift offensively?
Evans trying to back her way in against Serena Sundell, blocked by Serena.
And that's just a tough matchup one-on-one for Elle Evans. Serena Sundell able to match her size for size.
Taylor couldn't handle the bounce pass, and for one of the few times today, K-State turns it over, just number 6.
Well, you mentioned the balance that this Wildcat offense had in the first half, Ben. You go back to the first game in Lawrence where they blew the doors off in the third quarter. But for the game, you had 4 K-State players that hit double figures. That's been really the calling card for this Kansas State squad in big wins on the road and at home is balance on the offensive end.
Walker cannot answer the 3 from Copeland. 3 ball, keeping Kansas slightly interested here.
And that's really where their offense has been limited. This K-State defense has not allowed them to turn that corner, to be the aggressor off the bounce, where they like to be able to generate those trips to the free throw line.
That's blocked. Loose ball, Jalen Glenn on the run with Sundell. She's hacked and fouled.
And that speed now without Lee in the lineup, Jeff Mitty mentioned it to us yesterday, they will play faster, that they want to get out and go, and off the block and great help defense. Now you are in the open floor. And Serena Sundell is headed to the free throw line. I love the dump down by Jalen Glenn. Unselfish play, which we've seen from K-State all game so far. They already have 20 assists, and that number just continues to rise. Number 1 in the nation in assists per game is this Kansas State squad.
Quick start to the second half here for Serena Sundell. Had just 1 point in that first half. Misses the second, rebounded by Canfield.
These are the possessions right here. If you are the Jayhawks, that you cannot leave empty trips. They've got to be able to either get buckets or get themselves to the free throw line.
Williams fights her way through a late double team to draw the foul.
That's one thing the freshman has learned. She's learned to be more physical. She's being able to handle that contact, and that's only comes with experience, and she has gotten a ton of that this year at KU. Brandon Schneider mentioned it after their win at UCF. She gives them a lift. She can give them a scoring punch. They run some sets, some isolation for her, because she's kind of been one of those uncanny scorers to find a way to finish and get herself to the free throw line.
Now her brother plays football at Nebraska, but her dad played football at Oklahoma. Good thing those teams aren't in the same conference anymore.
They don't have to pick sides.
Yeah.
You are absolutely right. You don't want to know where their loyalty rests, I would think.
55-38. Sundell against Copeland. Here comes a double team. Offensive foul on Serena Sundell. Good double team right there.
One of the first times we have seen that from Kansas, and Serena Sundell kind of put herself in a bad spot, went baseline and picks it up. And Reagan Williams comes with that double team. You lower the shoulder into Copeland, and that happens right in front of the official. That whistle will go against you every time.
Copeland gets a high screen, unable to get all the way home. Back to Evans. Evans runner, no. Sides back in there for K-State with the board. Moppin running the floor. couldn't save it.
We've seen aggressive plays in the open floor by both teams the last couple possessions. And Kansas pushing tempo. Williams with an easy lay-in.
Sides, transition, three, rattles it home.
It's just too easy if you give her that much space and she makes herself available. And if you're Kansas, you have to know when you cross half court where Taryn Sides is located.
She's had at least 4 triples in 8 different games. And when she gets hot, let's just say goodnight for the other team. Maupin, alley-oop, no, rebounded by Sides.
And I think the thing about Taryn Sides, trying to have a bit of a bounce back. You know, you're named Big 12 Player of the Week on Monday, and then you go scoreless in just 12 minutes on the floor at West Virginia. So this is her opportunity here. Kind of prove yourself that you're not looking at a week that was maybe a fluke, but that you really are one of the best players in this league.
Sides. On cue has another one.
She's used that step, whether it's the pump fake to create the distance. It's been working all season, and another one down for the sophomore. That 17-8, and they did it in the second and in the third, and you just kind of continue to blitz teams. But this defense really has been the difference maker. It has kept Kansas back on their heels and hasn't given them the ability for them to operate, and that has changed really the flow of this game.
Cats throw a zone at KU out of the timeout. Evans gets loose for a 3 but can't deliver. Here's Sundell back for the Wildcats. Little pull up. Thought she wanted to go glass, but missed that shot. 61-40, K-State. Biggest lead of the game right now.
K-State has led wire to wire so far in this game. The first bucket was scored by Ioka Lee. I don't think we'll see here, probably again here in the second half, because right now they seem to be managing Kansas without her, especially on the defensive side.
How about the day for Zoe Canfield? 4 triples.
Have yourself one when you go into your rival's home arena. The young lady from Topeka, Kansas, making a splash here in her first Sunflower Showdown on the road.
Has not missed from beyond the arc. That one hit the net. Finally got through. Sanchez launches, no, and a good box out from Reagan Williams. Here comes Nichols.
And that's what has to happen if you are KU. You got to get shots on this end. It's got to be one and done. You cannot give up second chances. This team, they were decimated on the glass when they matched up in Lawrence. They struggled in that first half. Just got to limit those opportunities.
Isolation for Williams. Goes strong against Maupin. Well defended, though, by Maupin.
She was in that vertical position. I think they were looking for a call. It was pretty physical, a lot of lower body contact, but no whistle. Reagan Williams, the freshman, couldn't get that one.
Sundell just lost the handle trying to make that backdoor pass. Timeout on the floor. Yeah, thanks, Sophie. Jerome Tang likes to talk about his players and who's a weapon, who's Taryn Sides. She's a weapon off the bench for Jeff Mitty.
Well, and she's put herself in the running, I think, for 6th Player of the Year in the Big 12, just simply by her numbers and her big-time performances that she had. I mean, she had a double-double on the road at Cincinnati with 17 points and 12 rebounds. That doesn't happen necessarily when you're 5'6", but I think what she has been able to do, making that adjustment from year 1 to year 2, is to be more assertive on the defensive end, to make it to a point where coaches can't take you out, that the mismatch doesn't matter, that you put yourself in the position to add value. I think Taryn Sides has done that all year.
She has 12 points on 4 threes today and also 6 assists.
Well, and that 3-point percentage, she started so hot in the non-conference. I mean, she was up close to 50%. It kind of whittles down, shooting just shy of 40% from 3 in conference play. But that's because you get circled on a scouting report and people are going to understand where you are on the floor. But she uses that pump fake, she creates space, and her to be able to add that to her game, it's just another weapon. It makes you a scorer every time you touch.
And Poindexter and Glenn are not far behind her when it comes to three-point shooting percentage, which, I mean, you've got Aoka Lee's back now, right?
Yeah.
So you got 6'6" All-American center in the middle, and then you've got all these great shooters on the perimeter. That's a lot of stuff to try and guard.
No, I think it's weapons in multiple ways, and you know that Aoka Lee is going to draw double, triple teams. The key for her is to be able to identify that as the season moves on, whether that's against Baylor on Monday, and then when you have to manage and you go to Iowa State to end the regular season, you see that double, triple team, you got to find an open player. And that is going to be some of these really great shooters that Kansas State is able to put on the floor and spread the floor to make defenses have to choose.
Couple free throws for Samaya Nichols. A very quiet game from her so far today, but the sophomore is she's probably going to rewrite a lot of the KU record book before her career's over.
Well, she already has.
Yeah.
They have mentioned her in the likes of Lynette Woodard.
Right.
Think about what she has done in just for not even 2 full seasons yet in Lawrence. And those to be in that type of put your name in that kind of arena, so to speak, with those types of players, the Tamika Dixons of the world, as well as Lynette Woodard, those are top-notch guards that have gone through Kansas, and Samaya Nichols is right up there.
32 to go in the period. K-State has 4.1 to shoot.
This is where in that first quarter where K-State was able to get a big lead and kind of distance themselves from Kansas. Execution on these out-of-bounds plays just like that. Did it, and they do it again here towards the end of the third.
Sundell picks up assist number 11. That one with the left hand to Poindexter.
She's now 8 games with double-digit assists so far this season. Another in Big 12 play.
Sundell, her reverse blocked. Poindexter leans in and rips a three. And that'll end the third, just like K-State ended the second quarter.
We mentioned it earlier how this team is able to open a big lead and then just continue to build upon it. I think this is an important 10 minutes, Ben, for Kansas State, and as well as for Kansas. You want to see that fight from the Jayhawks. You want to see that intensity stay with them for this final 10. But also for K-State, you got to keep your foot on the gas. That's where this team has been successful against pretty much all of their opponents, where you get yourself kind of where you play more passive. You don't want that to happen. You want to continue to stay aggressive, continue to have that attack mentality, play with pace, and play smart.
K-State started 2 of 10 from downtown, but 7 of 12 since.
I think some open looks, especially where the big concern was being dominated inside in the paint. Kansas trying to find an answer. You clog that lane. Now all of a sudden shooters get their feet set. They get good looks, and K-State knocked them down, especially in the third.
Copeland, nice drive, everything but the finish. Lester's going to go to work. And a foul on Williams. Lester, the only Wildcat to, yet to score in this one.
And 9 out of 10 K-State players have scored. You think about how the flow of this game has gone, so different than what Kansas State encountered on the road at West Virginia on Monday. That was such a different feel, and that is simply because of the chaos and the defensive intensity that you see from West Virginia for 40 minutes. They were out-rebounded. There was missed opportunities. There were some key possessions for West Virginia, especially in the second half. They had 13 steals, and K-State just never really felt comfortable. I think today this has been a much better performance where they have not only been able to be in sync offensively, but the defensive end of the floor has been where they have been so solid today.
Nichols, spin move, no.
And that's what it has been like all day for Samaya Nichols. Tough, guarded shots. She has not really had any wide open looks.
Sanchez has an open look and buries it.
We mentioned the bench. We mentioned how the lift comes for this K-State team, where they've gotten it today. They didn't get it on the road in West Virginia Monday, but the bench has come and delivered this afternoon at home.
Deep three from Canfield, and she misses for the first time from beyond the arc. Sanchez, same spot, same result.
Back-to-back threes from Gisela Sanchez, and if Jeff Mitty can get that every night from Gisela Sanchez, this Kansas State team becomes that much more tough to beat.
This team was playing with confidence. You felt like some of that confidence took a hit on the road against West Virginia.
Yes.
Jeff Mitty's glad to see that it's back today.
No, I think you're right. And so much of it is just finding plays. It is easy when the ball goes through the basket and it starts to just become so positive, and you feel that momentum, you feel that energy. A great crowd here today. You play off of that as well. But I think just being more in sync and not feeling like everything is out of control, because that's what the game is when you play West Virginia. There's a lot of teams. You know, Houston men do it to people every day. They just make your life miserable for 40 minutes. Today, not as much miserable, way more in touch and in sync as a team on both ends.
On that last three, the assist to Serena Sundell. That's a career high 14 now for her on senior day. Evans with a high arcing three, drops it in there.
I've always been so impressed with Evans. Had a chance to call quite a few of her games when she was at North Dakota State. Now a junior, went into the portal, found a home at Kansas. She's been a bright spot for Brandon Schneider.
Cy Walker gets into the act.
It's crazy because we talked about it that in the first half, K-State didn't need the three. That it really wasn't a big part of their offense. You go back to the game in Lawrence, they knocked down 15, and now all of a sudden this team, they're sitting on 12 here in this ball game with an opportunity to knock down more.
Yeah, that 15 at Allen Fieldhouse, a season high for K-State. Maya Canessa returns. She hasn't seen much action at all here in the second half. Gets to the rim just to beat the shot clock. Nice move for the sophomore out of Barcelona, Spain.
She was scoreless in their game against UCF earlier this week, so good to see her get back into the scoring column. One of those kind of aggressive guards to beat you off the bounce, could shoot it from three, kind of versatile scorer. Brandon Schneider, I think as this season wears on, they've been the majority of the year without their senior point guard and Yvette Mayberry, the transfer from Tulsa. I think that was a huge loss for them. They were looking for Jordan Webster to come in from UC Riverside and give them a lift. She has missed this season because of injury, but they have a top 10 recruiting class coming to Lawrence next year. And I think that class very well could be impact freshmen from the jump.
And this is a young team too. I think
Yes.
what their top 6 scorers are underclassmen, and you never know in the age of the portal what the roster is going to look like. But
You got that right.
Yeah.
But I think you put those pieces of the puzzle together and you have a lot of positive things and a lot of opportunity moving forward for Kansas. I think the biggest thing for them is just being able to respond, to be able to respond to some adversity, whether it's in games, whether it's been losing players because of injury. How you respond, that says a lot about kind of the culture and the makeup of your locker room.
Taya, great position, turns and scores. She's had a good game here, averaging just over 5, has 7. Jalen Glenn misses the layup, but another fresh clock here for K-State. Taylor to the left hand, no. Walker's got it, and she's fouled. With a quickness to the ball today, the 50-50 balls has got to be like 80-20 K-State here.
I don't think we can even say 50-50.
Yeah.
I'm with you. And so many of those long rebounds, loose balls, whatever it has been, Kansas State has pounced on them. But they've made a living doing that all season. Just being able to get themselves second chance opportunities or a loose ball in the full court that you kick ahead and now you've got an easy layup. Creating offense with their defense, that chaos that they have brought, they've done it all year. And we've seen this offense click on numerous times, but I go back to when they hosted TCU here at home at the beginning of February. That was a 59-50 rock fight. It was not at all an offensive battle that everyone thought it would be. And they held TCU to just 50 points. That absolutely is hanging your hat on your defense. That's been the calling card.
Yeah, definitely have more than one way to win. There's Walker with the steal, regathers and scores the layup. Copeland into traffic, finds Evans on the wing. She's got another three.
Great play by Copeland just to keep that dribble alive. The 5'7" junior got into the middle, draws the defense, and with Elle Evans getting her feet set, that's where she's deadly. Over 40% from three so far this year.
Taylor, left hand, no, gets it back and is fouled by Williams. That will send us to a timeout. 4:10 to go here on the Sunflower Showdown. K-State, Gisela Sanchez, back-to-back threes, and the Wildcats are rolling.
In a very small bucket of names to be considered for Big 12 Player of the Year. It's going to be really hard to not have her be one of the ones that is strongly considered. And I think you look at the success that this K-State team has had, especially going 5-3 without Ioka Lee, so much of that powered by Serena Sundell.
Yeah, absolutely, and she can do it in so many ways. Today it's the assists, the huge win over TCU. She dominated the second half of that game, scoring with 23 of her career high 27 coming in the second half.
Well, she's carried this team, and as you said, in multiple ways. And she's also made a name for herself as a great defender. At 6'1", she's been able to block shots. She can match up with point guards, keep them in front, creates that length and that athleticism out on the perimeter that has been a key asset for Kansas State all season. As I said, hard to deny that her name is not going to be considered for Big 12 Player of the Year.
And certainly will be in consideration for some All-America honors as well, as Elle Evans has a chance for a 1-and-1. The national high by a player this year in women's basketball is 17, so she's 2 away from tying that here. And the crazy thing about playing K-State in these blowout games like this, they don't have a bench to, they can't put the end of the bench in. They've only got 10 players for a while. With Lee out, they only had 9 players.
Yeah, so it does change it, so it's not by design where you just want to keep, but yet when you have these players in the game, you want them to continue to be in that attack mode. You want to be able to close out games. You want to do it strong. You don't want to end on a bunch of garbage buckets and turnovers and broken plays. You want to continue to find that chemistry, that cohesiveness that they've had, especially here today. I don't think it was as much evident against West Virginia, but so much better here at home against Kansas.
Inside 3 minutes. Conessa. Skip pass, looking for Canfield in the corner. Good defense there by Poindexter. And Conessa will just launch it.
I felt like that's what's happened really all afternoon. They have forced Kansas into tough shots. Extended, long twos, tough twos, contested threes. Really not a lot of open looks and possessions for Kansas State.
Another triple from Taryn's side. She has been automatic in this second half. Williams, left short. Tracked down by Conessa. And back inside to Williams. She gets double teamed. And a foul.
Yeah, that's going to be a reach on Tamira Poindexter. I think it's interesting, Brandon Schneider electing to go without Samaya Nichols for this last 4+ minutes from that last timeout that we had here at Bramlage. And it's been a rough day. If you are Samaya Nichols, one of the top 5 scorers in the Big 12, she again, by this K-State defense, is going to be held to single digits, just 6 points, 1 of 9 from the field. She had just 9 points with 7 assists when they played in Lawrence. So they have had really the magic equation to be able to get Samaya Nichols down. Not many people in the league have been able to do that. Even during the losing streak that Kansas is on, 4 games before they snapped in about winning at home against UCF, she was able to rattle off some big numbers. Just can't do it here today on the road.
Well, she's had 3 games this year where she hadn't scored in double figures, and 2 of them have been against this K-State defense. And really, that's been the hallmark of Jeff Mitty's program. But now they've got so many weapons on offense to go with it.
Well, there's been years where you think back about how this team just had to shut folks down because they weren't able to score, or they were incredibly one-dimensional with just a player like Lee inside. That is not the case anymore. Makes it very difficult to get them shut down. You spread shooters, you're able to move the basketball. When you lead the nation in assists per game, well, that just tells you something about how this is an unselfish group. They've understood, they've played together for a while. They've been averaging close to 75 points a game in Big 12 action. They've shot over 40% from behind the arc in Big 12 games, and they have done that yet here again today. They've gone 50% from the free throw line. They've gone 46% from behind the three-point line and 52% on total. And now every player for Kansas State has scored here as well.
Lester gets them both with a minute to go. Well, this sets the stage, Missy, for a huge one on Monday with Baylor coming in.
Yeah, with Baylor being able to hold home court to get their win against Iowa State this afternoon. They did it with 4 players in double figures, but without their leading scorer and rebounder in Dariana Littlepage Buggs. So that is going to be the X factor. Does Buggs play on Monday when they come here? As well as how many minutes will Jeff Mitty be able to give to Ioka Lee? That's, I think, going to be the X factor in that ball game that you're going to see Monday. That's on ESPN2. And then Kansas State will have about a week, and then they will go to Ames to close out the regular season, which will be a big one up there. All of this kind of culminating to be able to see, are you still in play to be able to claim part of a regular season title, but then what will your seed be when you get to the Big 12 tournament?
And that'll do it. 90-60 in front of a sellout crowd here in Bramlage today. The Sunflower Showdown belongs to Sundell and the Wildcats.